and don't you think the Republican Party, the reason they're so behind on the times and they're failing miserably is because they don't have present day ideas. They're so, like I said, they're stuck in their ways. They're living in the past. They're not on board with what's currently going on, with what people really want. Your thoughts on this, because you're running for office.
Well, here's an example. This would be taboo, but I'll talk about it. Um, Currently in the news, we've got new laws that just passed. And in the quickness, because we have a supermajority Republican, and I'm going to tell you the truth is, again, goes with compromise in our full government of different people talking. I don't believe in super majorities. I don't think the Democrats should ever have a supermajority. I don't think the Republicans should have a supermajority. I think our legislature should be set up that there's no such thing as a supermajority. That we have to figure out something where it's even more even if one's more than the other, it's got to be even, because there's got to be discussion. You can't shut out the citizens from actively discussing about things. But because you don't have discussion, you get bills passed who don't work all the way. One bill earlier was passed is, of course, I don't want underage people getting, like hormones and things to transition when they don't need them for actual real medical reasons. But then I have a friend who has a medical problem who has to take some estrogen. He's not trans. Who at first, because they weren't sure about the law, wasn't able to get the life-saving medicine that he needed, not to transition, but actual life-saving medicine that he needed, because he's got all sorts of stuff going on, for about 2 months. And finally they were evening out and he's able to get his medicine back again because the bills were unclear. Today, new bills went in. Again, this was to protect people that if you wanted to get into an adult porn site or whatever it is, you have to provide an ID. Well, because it was haphazardly written and there's really no way, do you provide a ID all this time, blah, blah, blah. Well, some of the websites are like, what the hell do we do? So the news today is that Pornhub has now restricted all of North Carolina from being able to log into their website. So if you're North Carolina, they've basically said, since they believe that they should do it a different way, that the legislator jumped the gun. They didn't complain about the Republicans. They just said that, when you have legislatures who aren't very, knowledgeable about technology and who hasn't questioned the market, and they also completely understood that, yes, you want to restrict underage children, that they do everything they can in their power to keep underage people from seeing their items. But because of all this mess, they decided to just cut the whole state of North Carolina off. So, here, if you go to the website, they made a video, they have a whole statement there, and so that's just one website. I mean, that's one website. But let's say Facebook decides to cut people off, or YouTube decides to cut people off, or Twitch decides to cut people off, or any of those other websites. Next thing you know, in North Carolina, because of that one law that wasn't correctly, vetted and written properly, because you have a supermajority, now you have all these. We could end up with no internet in North Carolina, or the television companies can say, "Well, we can't take an ID." They have to think about putting these laws in. And if you're going to complain as a Republican that the Democrats, when they're at a supermajority, are doing crazy things and letting everything go wild, then you need to understand, when you're in the supermajority, you're not any better when you're doing the same thing. And that's the biggest issue that I see in North Carolina. Now,